All right, folks, in this video, I'm going to do the first part of Notes 25, which is on graphing lines. I'm going to try to keep it possibly short, doubtful though, because there's quite a few lines here. If it gets a little bit too long, I might pop it into 2 videos. So we're going to start with part number 1, A and B here, because these are kind of the specialty ones. So it says to graph the line x is equal to -4. So here's the deal. If you have an equation that is x equals a number, this is a vertical line. All right. All equations that are set up as x equals a number are going to be some kind of vertical line. So what you're going to do, go to the x-axis, right? Your x is your horizontal, the y is the vertical. Go to -4, right? It says x equals -4. All right, so there's the -4. And here's the thing. This is the point where x equals -4 on the x-axis. Every other point that is vertical to that particular point will also have an x value of -4. All right, so no matter which point you pick on this line, the x value is going to be -4. The y value can be anything. There's nothing in this problem that says what y has to equal, so that's what we go with. All right, so problem number 1, x equals a number is going to be a vertical line. Sliding over to part B here. I was going to say number 1 or number 2, but that doesn't work. Part B, this is y equals a number. So same idea here, but this time it is going to be a horizontal, there we go, horizontal line, okay? But same idea. We've got our x-axis, which is the horizontal, the y-axis is the vertical. So on the y-axis, I'm going to go to 7. All right, so 5, 6, 7, there we go. And every point I'm looking for has to have a y value of 7. Now, what can x equal? It doesn't matter. X can equal anything, because there's nothing in that equation that talks about what x can equal. So there's my horizontal line. Again, this is going to be, if you got y equals a number, it's a horizontal line. If you have x equals a number, it's a vertical line. Okay, so those are the 2 kind of specialty ones. Now, I'm kind of going to zoom up to here and look at this equation. So it says graphing lines y equals mx plus b. Love this format. This is what's called the slope. All right, so m is slope. Yes, I know the word slope does not have m in it, and I didn't name it. All right, so that's going to be slope, which is also the same thing as rise over run. Okay, so this is going to give us directions. It's going to tell us how to move. What's going to tell you how to start is your b value. So y equals mx plus b, and that is your y-intercept. Okay, it is where you cross the y-axis. And I just threw my pencil on the floor. Hold on. There we go. Okay. So it's where you cross your y-axis. So let's take a look at part C here. So we have a lovely slope of -2/3. We'll talk about what that negative does. But we're going to start with the y-intercept of 6. So on my graph, I'm going to label x here. I'm going to label y there. And on the y-axis, I'm going to go to +6. There we go. Got the intercept. Now, I need to be careful about this slope, because here's the thing. That negative is either going to apply to rise, making it -2 over +3, or the negative applies to run, in which case you have +2 over -3. So I'm going to start with, let's go with the -2 over 3 here. So from this point, the -2 means I am going to count down 2 spaces, and then the +3 means I'm going to count to the right 3 spaces. And I'm going to do this a whole bunch of times. So down 2, 1, 2, 3 to the right. And I'm going to, from now this point, I'm going to count again. So down 2, 1, 2, 3, down 2, 1, 2, 3. So I can clearly see this line forming right here. This is great. This is fabulous. Now, remember I said it doesn't matter which one of these 2 you do. So let's say I do the other one. So 2 over -3. Well, that means I'm going to move up 2, so +2 is my rise, but then if my run is negative, that means I got to move to the left. So if I go back here to my intercept, Okay, and I'm going to go up 2 spaces and then to the right 3 spaces. I can do that. So up 2, 1, 2, 3 spaces. And again, I can do that again. So here's the fun part. All of these points, second, I made a little doodle there. All of these points that I just created create one continuous line. So when I go to play connect the dots here, I can play connect the dots, and that creates my line. That is a horrible arrow. Let's try that again. There we go. All right. And yes, arrows are at the end because lines continue, well, forever. All right. So that's what happens if you have a negative slope here, right? Our line is decreasing. That's another good way to check that you have the right slope there. All right. Let's go ahead and move on down to part D. All right. So part D, we have our 2-part slope. All right. So there's my 4/5. We've got a y-intercept. In this case, yes, that negative is, whoops, sorry about that. That negative right in front of that 8 is super important. So that is, of course, where we're going to start at -8. Here's my x-axis, there's my y-axis. Folks, you got to start on the y-axis. So -5, 6, 7, there's my point sitting down here. Okay, so again, on the y-axis, find that point. And then my slope in this case, we've got +4/5. So that means from here, I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4, and then to the right 5. And I can do it again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, to the right 5. So let me go ahead and fill in, connect the dots there then. 1, 2, 3, whoa, hold on, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, to the right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, to the right 5. And at this point, I've pretty much run out of space. I can't continue my slope anymore this way. And honestly, I can't count down and to the left because I'm going to run out of graph. So let's go ahead and play connect the dots here. So sketch it in. And just so you know, you don't actually need more than 2 points. By definition, a line is defined by 2 points, which is great. I do more than that because I'm hand sketching. And because I'm hand sketching, I want to be as accurate as possible. So I do multiple points. All right, part E. We have a small problem with our slope because our slope here is 3, which is great. Except your slope is supposed to be a 2-part set of directions, a rise over a run. So if your slope is just a single number, which in this case it is the number 3, you can always make that denominator over 1. Because last time I checked, 3 divided by 1 is still 3. So that slope of 3 over 1 is identical to the original 3. All right, so that's okay. We'll use that slope to move. Let's figure out our starting position, which is -5. All right, so I'm going to go, here's my x-axis, here's my y-axis. I get used to marking those just for fun. So there's -5. And then my slope, right, I'm going to go up 3, right 1. Okay, so up 1, 2, 3 to the right 1 space. And let me count that out. 1, 2, 3, using the actual pen this time. And this is a place where, could I stop here and just play connect the dots? Yes. But because I'm drawing it by hand, I feel like I'm going to make a little error. So I'm going to go ahead and just put in as many points as I can so that my line is as accurate as possible for as long as possible. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Now, while this is all going up 3 to the right 1, I could reverse it and go down and to the left. And I am going to actually do that. All right, so down 1, 2, 3, left 1. And again, when you do this, you're still creating the same line. All right, it just kind of depends on where your points are and how close you are to the edge of your graph. So sketching in that line, it's got a little wobble at the end, but we'll take it. All right, this definitely gives me the idea of where this line is. All right, part F. Part F, again, we have that same situation with your slope, right? Slope here is -8, so we could definitely turn this into -8 over 1. And the other thing you can actually do is 8 over -1. I know you're looking at, wait a minute, that's how did the 1 turn into negative? The negative sitting here can either be in the numerator or the denominator. You just can't put it in both. All right, because if you put it in both, then you end up in a situation where your slope's actually positive because you'd have a negative divided by a negative. All right, so there's x, there's y. Let's go ahead and start off at a positive 5 here, okay? And then negative 8 over 1. I'm going to go ahead and follow those directions. So I'm going to count down 8 spaces. All right, that's a lot. 5, 6, 7, 8, and then to the right 1 space. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to run out of graph if I try and count it down anymore. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I'm going to be just off that graph. And I definitely can't count up and to the left. So this one, I've only got the 2 points to work with. So let's see how accurate I can be here. Oh, that's horrible. I'll let Notability snap it straight. All right, that works. All right. So this was where I'm actually going to go ahead and cut the video. I know there's a few more questions, but I'm worried about the length of this video and uploads and all that stuff. So here's where I'm going to go ahead and cut it. I'm going to tell you guys the same thing I tell you at the end of everything is always, if you have any questions or concerns, let me know. I will put up a second video that goes into the next 3 questions on graphing. All right, see you in the next one.